who reshaped the known world before turning 30. Born in 356 BCE in the Kingdom of Macedon, Alexander was the son of King Philip II and Queen Olympias. From the start, his life was marked by ambition and education. Tutored by Aristotle himself, Alexander absorbed philosophy, science, and politics, but it was on the battlefield where he would leave his mark. When Philip was assassinated in 336 BCE, Alexander, only 20 years old, ascended the throne. Few could have imagined that in just over a decade, he would create one of the largest empires in history. His first challenge was securing Greece at the Battle of Chaeronea in 338 BCE. Even before becoming king, Alexander had already proven himself, commanding cavalry that shattered the Thebans' sacred band. Once on the throne, he swiftly crushed revolts, then turned his eyes eastward to Persia, the great empire that had once tried to conquer Greece. In 334 BCE, Alexander launched his campaign against Persia with around 40,000 men. At the Battle of Granicus, he personally led a cavalry charge across a river against Persian satraps. It was the beginning of a string of victories that would cement his reputation. 2 years later, at Issus, Alexander faced King Darius III himself. Outnumbered, he broke the Persian line with his companion cavalry, sending Darius fleeing the field. Visualize the scenes. Disciplined Macedonian phalanxes, advancing with sarissa spears over 18 feet long, while Alexander, at the head of his cavalry, smashed into enemy flanks. Maps of his campaigns stretch from Greece to Egypt, then across Mesopotamia and into Central Asia. At Gaugamela in 331 BCE, considered his masterpiece, Alexander faced Darius again. Despite being outnumbered, perhaps 5-1, Alexander used feints, gaps in the line, and a perfectly timed charge to pierce the Persian center. Darius fled once more, and Persia's empire collapsed. Within a few years, Alexander controlled lands from the Mediterranean to the Indus River. But Alexander was not just a conqueror. He was also a visionary who sought to fuse cultures. He founded over 20 cities, many named Alexandria, which became centers of trade, learning, and Hellenistic culture. In Egypt, he was hailed as a pharaoh. In Babylon, he adopted Persian dress and customs, marrying into local nobility and encouraging his officers to do the same. This blending of Greek and Eastern traditions created a cultural legacy that endured long after his empire fractured. Legends about Alexander grew even while he lived. He was said to be descended from Achilles, carrying a copy of the Iliad with him on campaign. Stories spread of him cutting the Gordian knot, a symbol that whoever untied it would rule Asia. Rather than untie it, he sliced through with his sword, declaring destiny fulfilled. Yet his empire was built on relentless ambition. His armies marched through deserts, mountains, and monsoons, driven by his will. At the Hyphasis River in India, after years of campaigning, his exhausted soldiers finally refused to go further. For the first time, Alexander turned back. In 323 BCE, at the height of his power, Alexander died suddenly in Babylon at just 32 years old. The cause remains uncertain: fever, poisoning, or illness. His empire, without a clear heir, fractured among his generals, sparking decades of conflict. Still, his legend endured. To the Greeks, he was a hero. To the Persians, a conqueror. To later cultures, almost a mythic figure. Statues, mosaics, and epic tales kept his memory alive as the man who sought to unite the world under one rule. Alexander's brilliance was not just his tactics, but his vision. He never lost a battle, combining speed, discipline, and daring in ways unmatched for centuries. He showed that with determination and strategy, even a small kingdom could topple the greatest empire of the age. That is why Alexander the Great, conqueror of the known world before turning 30, stands at number 3 on our list.